Welcome back, Riker. I want to tell you the story of Genesis chapter 5. I know that previously I've already told you the story of Noah and the flood, which is Genesis 6 through 9. And before that, we talked about creation, Genesis 1 through 3, and Cain and Abel, Genesis 4. But I skipped Genesis chapter 5. So I don't want to skip Genesis chapter 5 because it's a very interesting chapter, and I think in actuality I'm probably going to try and explain every chapter of the Bible, which may take me a couple years. We'll see how it goes. But for now, Genesis chapter 5 is a very short story, and it's got a lot of repetition in the story. It's telling about the children of Adam and their children and their children and their children. It's basically talking about people who were born from Adam and how they carried on their lives. And it's covering about 10 people, and it's just listing how long they lived and how long they were when they first had a kid. And it gets very repetitive, so it's easy to kind of dismiss the chapter as just informational. But I think there's a couple things that Genesis chapter 5 does to help us understand the story of the Bible. One of the things Genesis chapter 5 does is like I said, it has a lot of repetition. But then hidden within the layers of repetition are a couple standout stories. And one of those standout stories is about a man named Enoch. And instead of us finding out, how old Enoch was when Enoch died, we actually hear that God took Enoch and brought him up to heaven because Enoch walked with God. And we have another standout story towards the very end of Genesis chapter 5 when we hear about Noah. And Noah is a character that, is so important that God ends up dedicating, 3 more chapters to the story of Noah and to the story of the flood and Noah building the giant boat. So we have these 2 characters that are kind of hidden inside Genesis chapter 5. And it's in the way that God writes this story. We have repetition, so we kind of start to think, all right, we know how this is going to go. And then boom, we're hit with something that's different. And the something that is different is so different that we need to pay attention to it. And I think a lot of the Bible has stories like that. You'll be reading through, a section of Joshua or a section of Judges where it gets repetitive and the text is kind of repeating over and over, this type of thing. And then boom, hidden inside, there's a little mystery, a little secret, some kind of story that you have to pause for a moment and go, wait, what did that just say? Did that just say Enoch walked with God? Did that just say that Enoch got taken up to heaven? And so, again, I don't want to just gloss over Genesis chapter 5 because I think Genesis chapter 5 is teaching us how to pay attention to some of the repetition and how to look for breaks and patterns. And sometimes God is telling us the important parts of the story in the breaks and the patterns and how things diverge from what we expect. So the story of Genesis chapter 5, it's a lineage of Adam with 2 big highlights for Enoch and for Noah. All right, may God be with you.